President Trump is making big news in Saudi Arabia on his first stop on his first major foreign trip of his second term, and the bad news cycle for former President Joe Biden just gets worse. And a Republican is trying to hold Democrat lawmakers accountable for allegedly storming an ICE facility with protesters in New Jersey. I am not Tony Kinett, but Bradley Devlin, politics editor for the Daily Signal and host of the Signal Sitdown. Today is May 14th, 2025, and here is your top news in 10. Trump departed on his first major foreign trip of his second term on Monday and arrived in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. The president's 4-day swing to the Middle East will include stops in Qatar and the UAE. Landing in Riyadh on Tuesday, Air Force One received a fighter jet escort, and President Trump was received by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and a lavish display on the tarmac. Trump and the Crown Prince signed an arms agreement worth nearly $142 billion. The deal will provide Saudi Arabia with, quote, state-of-the-art warfighting equipment and services from over a dozen U.S. defense firms, end quote. That was what the White House said, and this is the, quote, largest defense sales agreement in history, end quote. The White House also announced that President Trump had secured $600 billion in deals with the Saudi government and other firms in his Riyadh visit. Another big moment from day one of Trump's Gulf trip was when Trump said it was his, quote, fervent wish, end quote, that Saudi Arabia join the Abraham Accords. Here's a clip of Trump's call for Saudi Arabia to join the Accords, given during a speech at the Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum in Riyadh.
And with the historic Abraham Accords that we're so proud of, all the momentum was aimed at peace, and it aimed very successfully. It's been an amazing thing, the Abraham Accords, and it's my fervent hope, wish, and even my dream that Saudi Arabia, a place I have such respect for, especially over the last fairly short period of time, what you've been able to do, but we'll soon be joining the Abraham Accords. I think it'll be a tremendous tribute to your country. And it will be something that's really going to be very important for the future of the Middle East. I took a risk in doing them, and they've been an absolute bonanza for the countries that have joined. The Biden administration did nothing for 4 years. We would have had it filled out. But it will be a special day in the Middle East with the whole world watching when Saudi Arabia joins us. And you'll be greatly honoring me, and you'll be greatly honoring all of those people that have fought so hard for the Middle East. And I really think it's going to be something special, but you'll do it in your own time, and that's what I want, and that's what you want, and that's the way it's going to be.
More bad news for former President Joe Biden's health, according to the Associated Press. On Tuesday, a spokesperson for the former president announced that a small nodule was found in Biden's prostate during a routine physical exam. The statement released by Biden's camp said the nodule necessitated further evaluation. However, it remains uncertain whether this follow-up examination has already taken place or what the findings might be. It is not the first time a health issue has cropped up for Biden during a health exam. In 2023, Biden had a cancerous skin lesion removed from his chest. The latest news on Biden's health comes on the heels of a disastrous appearance for the 82-year-old on The View and a leak of Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's forthcoming book titled Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. Biden appears to be trying to get ahead of what Tapper and Thompson will say about Biden's decline through media appearances such as his recent interviews with the BBC and The View, but the media tour appears to be having the opposite effect. The View's Alyssa Farah Griffin asked Biden point blank about his decline. Here was Biden's response.
Mr. President, since you left office, there have been a number of books that have come out, deeply sourced from Democratic sources, that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities. In the final year of your presidency, what is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. Number one. Number two, think of what we were left with. We were left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection when I started, not since the Civil War. We had a circumstance where we were in a position that the pandemic, because of the incompetence of the last outfit, end up over 1 million people dying. And we're also in a situation where we found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues, and which I won't go into in the interest of time. And so we went to work, and we got it done. And one of the things that
and Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone, reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop. It's the White House, being president is not like a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a life that you live. You live it 24 hours a day. That phone can ring at 11 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. It's constant. You never leave it. And Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president. And if you look at things today, give me Joe Biden anytime.
that's worth the invitation to come to the show.
As for Tapper and Thompson's book, somehow The Guardian managed to obtain an advanced copy and decided to run certain passages on its website. The Guardian reports that one anonymous senior ex-Biden aide told Tapper and Thompson, quote, "We attempted to shield him from his own staff. So many people didn't realize the extent of the decline beginning in 2023, end quote. This former staffer ended up quitting over Biden's decision to run again. This staffer continued, quote, "I love Joe Biden. When it comes to decency, there are few in politics like him. Still, it was a disservice to the country and to the party for his family and advisors to allow him to run again," end quote. The book says there were even discussions amongst the president's staff to make Biden use a wheelchair, but Biden aides concluded that could only happen after Biden's reelection. Quote, "Biden's physical deterioration, most apparent in his halting walk, had become so severe that there were internal discussions about putting the president in a wheelchair, but they couldn't do so until after the election," end quote. You may remember that over the weekend, Democratic lawmakers and protesters stormed the gates of an ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, and violently engaged ICE agents. Representatives Bonnie Watson-Coleman, LaMonica MacIver, and Rob Menendez, as well as Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, were involved in the altercation. Now, a Republican lawmaker is moving to have these 3 Democrat members of Congress punished. Congressman Buddy Carter of Georgia introduced a resolution on Tuesday to strip Menendez, MacIver, and Watson-Coleman of their committee assignments. Carter told Fox Digital that, quote, "The radical left has lost their minds. They would rather raid an ICE facility to defend criminal illegal immigrants than to represent their own constituents," end quote. If Carter's effort succeeds, Watson-Coleman would be removed from the House Appropriations Committee, Menendez would be ousted from the House Energy and Commerce Committee, and MacIver would get kicked off both the House committees on Small Business and Homeland Security. Carter also said that, quote, "This behavior constitutes an assault on our brave ICE agents and undermines the rule of law. The 3 members involved in this stunt do not deserve to sit on committees alongside serious lawmakers," end quote. Meanwhile, the Democrat lawmakers continue to push back on the characterization of what happened at the New Jersey ICE facility. Watson-Coleman took to X to say, quote, "The idea we stormed a heavily guarded federal detention center is absurd. Just more lies from the most dishonest administration in history." That is your top news in 10 for May 14th, 2025. Thank you for joining me. I'm Bradley Devlin, politics editor of the Daily Signal and host of the Signal Sitdown. We will see you again next time.